Welcome. Please subscribe, thumb up the video, share to your social media. This is a fan theory for the show called From. It is on MGM Plus. It is a fan theory that contains spoilers. Viewer discretion is advised. This video is intended for a mature audience and may not be appropriate for children under 17. This content contains secular themes, occultism, non-consensual activity, ritual murder, and paganism. Viewer discretion is advised. Happy Halloween. Hello, welcome. If you're new here, please subscribe, click the bell, ding the dong, bing the bong, all that great stuff. What we have is the From Season 3, Episode 3 promo trailer. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm only going to play the part that's specific to this theory.
You can't save them all.
An ambulance that's coming to Fromville on a previous part of the promo comes into Fromville, drives to the tree, turns around and goes into Fromville. And then while the ambulance is in the road, Randall in this promo is going out, I guess, to help the people who are in the ambulance. So one thing I want you to focus on is not really the promo itself, but if you notice, there's 4 creatures right there on the screen. Fromville has now described them as being nightmare creatures, which I believe they've been upgraded. That's why they're called that. So you got a milkman, school teacher, a nurse. I don't know what this is supposed to be. So the reason why I'm calling it milkman, school teacher, nurse, and whatever this guy is, maybe he's a driver or something, is that these creatures, nightmare creatures, but they've been creatures since day one. They only come out at night, and all 4 of them are dressed up in some type of attire that's associated with a profession or an occupation or a state of being. So I say that to say they only come out at night and they are cosplaying. These creatures every night are trick-or-treating. And I know what you're thinking, that sounds absurd, and it does sound absurd because it is, but that's what they're basically doing. When you put the talisman stone on a door, you close the windows, you close the door, the creatures come to the window, they come to the door, and they're either talking to the people inside or they're knocking, trying to get you to open up and let them in or come outside. It's the basic concept of trick or treat, whereas the treat are human sacrifices. Anytime they get into a building, into like Colony House, into one of the houses, they go after the humans, they unalive them, they take out the insides. That is the treat. The treat being human sacrifices. You can either give them a treat or they'll take their own treat. The trick is to use manipulation or persuasion to get you to come outside or to let them in. Now it's trick or treat. To stop them from quote unquote tricking you and torturing you and having fun with you like kids do during Halloween, you have to give them a treat. I believe the treat is human sacrifice. I know Wikipedia is not a reliable source. If you have another source, I might use it in a future video to read off of it. But for the sake of this video, we're going to use Wikipedia's explanation of what Halloween is. So Halloween associated with the details and symbols of death, referring to works particularly gruesome in nature and supernatural. So when the creatures are coming out and they're doing a trick, they are doing things associated with death, torture, being gruesome in nature, because that is the nature of Halloween. When they're putting on these costumes, you got the cowboy creature. He acts and sounds like a cowboy when he's cosplaying as a cowboy, or when you got the nurse who probably acts like a nurse. Then you got the grandmother creature that I believe is also a witch. She may even act like a witch somehow. All of these creatures, when they're cosplaying and they got these outfits on, they're acting like what they're cosplaying. The actual tradition of Halloween may have come from wherever these creatures came from or whoever made them.
You can't save them all.
You can't save them all. I think this nurse cosplaying creature or nightmare creature is referring to the fact that Boyd is going to have to sacrifice humans to save other humans. The entire series has basically been kind of emphasizing that, and that the Abby entity that was cosplaying Abby was telling Boyd, destroying the music box is going to delay the suffering of people in town. And that was implying to allow Julie, Randall, and Marielle to continue to suffer in the same dungeon that Martin was at, as in sacrificing those three to save everybody else. He did not do that. He destroyed the music box because Boyd wants to save everyone. He wants everyone to go home at the same time. I believe by the end of the series, Boyd's going to be in the mind frame of sacrificing people to save others. Like the nurse creature just said, you can't save them all.
Maybe I can come in.
All right, so the grandmother creature says, maybe I can come in. They're not coming out and actually saying trick or treat, but when someone knocks on your door on Halloween and you're celebrating Halloween, you normally give candy or you give maybe fruit, maybe cans. But the idea is you're giving a treat to avoid a trick, which would be someone like toilet paper in your yard or whatever. The monsters are trying to trick them into letting them in so that the monsters or creatures can do horrific things associated with Halloween. All right, so once the window gets opened up, the cosplay is over with, and now grandmother creature shows her real face. They took out the insides and the mother. That was the trick. They trick you to come inside. They unalive you, take your insides, probably to eat. Same way when children are doing the trick-or-treating thing, the treat is candy. To the creatures, the treat is humans. So to avoid being tricked in the trick or treat, in my opinion, you probably have to give them human sacrifices. So when Boyd found the talisman, that was the beginning of the game of trick or treat, or the ritual that the creatures have been doing all the time. Whoever made Fromville, when they made Fromville, they also made those talisman stones and they hid them to encourage people to go out into the forest. Because everyone has been hiding as opposed to going and exploring, the talisman stones that were supposed to probably have been found in the beginning were never discovered until Boyd accidentally stumbled upon them. In this theory, we've established that the creatures, the nightmare creatures, they're cosplaying to trick you during their version of Halloween, where they only come out at night because Halloween is generally executed at nighttime. So they're coming out at night like a Halloween ritual, and the trick is trying to trick you to let them inside or trick you to go outside, and the treat would be human sacrifice. So in order to avoid the trick of someone losing their life, being unalive, being tortured, you got to give them a treat. And I believe the treat is human sacrifice. Because when the nightmare creatures let the livestock out, they didn't harm the livestock only to try to get to Jade. Creatures are going to come around the corner. They're all in cosplay costumes, getting ready to trick or treat. Everyone's trying to get inside. Julie looks, and she's going to see the creature jock. Hey, open the fucking door! So you got the jock, the bride. I guess this is a detective. I don't know what this is. The milkman. They're all cosplaying while they go and they're trick-or-treating. And when children go to trick-or-treat, you see them running, but most of the time they're walking from house to house to house, knocking on the door. They say trick-or-treat. They're hoping for a treat, which is normally candy, whereas these creatures are doing the same thing. They're hoping for human sacrifices. We're definitely in the realm of supernatural territory. I want to point out that the creatures are now called nightmare creatures. So when you sleep, scientists say that there's a part of your brain that deals with sleep that helps you dream. The part of the brain associated with dreaming is the
hippocampus.
That region plays a crucial role in memory formation and recall, which is why dreams often incorporate elements from our past experiences. We've seen on the show that these entities, they can enter into your dreams, and that can affect your body in real life. This is the smiley creature and another creature side by side. I believe that they were cosplaying school teachers. This definitely looks like a school teacher. And I think the smiley creature was cosplaying a school teacher.
There's darkness in the forest. Nightmares you can't even.
Nightmares you can't even begin to imagine. So most of the time in your sleep, if something harms you in your sleep while you're dreaming, you wake up and you're fine. In Fromville, things that were harming you in your sleep were affecting your actual body. So it is said that when you dream, your consciousness goes to another plane of existence. That plane of existence could be considered the astral plane, just another state of consciousness. It could even be considered heaven or maybe hell. But your astral self or your spirit person or your aura, whatever you want to call it, it leaves your body, goes to another plane of existence. No matter what happens in your dream, you wake up, you're fine. The fact that these entities can go into people's dreams and basically become nightmares or basically be nightmares, that means these entities are on a higher state of existence. They can affect you not just on the third dimensional plane, but also 4, 5, 6 on out. That's why I call them 10th dimensional beings, because they can hurt you in your sleep, take your life in your sleep, and your body will be destroyed. They are nightmares you can't even begin to imagine. This is Reggie's wife, Paula. They found her where the cicadas attacked her in her dream and destroyed her body in our realm. I want to briefly show you the scene of why I believe the creatures have been upgraded. They're now called nightmare creatures. Throughout the show, they've been called cowboy creature, nurse creature, what have you. This is where Boyd has already put the bile on the bullets.
Go!
The rounds hit the nurse, the cowboy, whatever this cosplaying creature is, this other creature, which was in the shot with the ambulance. Basically, Boyd hit every creature in the show. Being shot with the bullets. Upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. Boyd was shooting every creature out there, which, in my opinion, upgraded them all.
Boyd! Boyd.
You saw whatever the entity that's cosplaying as Abby appeared, disappeared, and reappeared. I believe that is them going from one state of existence to our state of existence and back to that state of existence. Now notice how the lights are flickering. The wires in the homes are connected to another timeline. Whatever is cosplaying Abby also has enough power to power the homes. So if the wires are not going to another timeline and getting power from there, if that theory does not hold true, then that means, in my opinion, that what's powering the town, powering Colony House, are these entities. You would have to be 10th dimensional in order to have enough power to where you just existing causes things to work or turn on. That would mean that these entities that can appear and disappear like Father Katrie does, like Abby's doing now, they are watching them 24/7, and that's where the homes and Colony House is getting their actual power from.
Come back to me.
So the phrase "come back to me," in my opinion, "come back to me" is referring to the 2014 film. I'm not going to give you homework to watch the movie, but you should watch it. But we'll use Wikipedia to give a synopsis of this movie, because I believe this movie answers a lot of things as far as associated with the show. Dale has the ability to resurrect people from the dead. Dale was taking the life of the protagonist in the movie, assaulting her, taking her life and resurrecting her. He had the ability to resurrect people. Sarah was having night terrors. A night terror is a sleep disorder causing feelings of panic or dread, and typically occur during the first hours of stage 3 to 4 non-rapid eye movement sleep. Sleep terror is classified in the category of parasomnia. They're undesirable physical events or experiences that occur during entry into sleep, during sleep, or during arousal from sleep. A lot of people were experiencing night terrors. Dale, who has the ability to resurrect people, he's a bad dude. Dale made a copy of her key, talking about Sarah. He went in, He was graping her, hitting her in the head, unaliving her, and then she would wake up in her own bed, gasping and assuming that it was another night terror episode, but he was actually resurrecting her. I believe that the character Dale in the show is inspired by this Dale in this movie. Anytime Dale resurrects you, you lose memory of how you passed away. Josh, who she was having relations with, is sterile, which to me sounds like Fatima. And Ellis, it was revealed that Dale had been entering the house, graping her, taking her life, then resurrecting her. In the process, she would lose her memories of the event. Leslie gave birth, and she's confused when the baby does not look like either of the possible fathers, and she recalls the video evidence of Sarah's grape, knowing that she had prior contact with Dale when he delivered her groceries too. So, make a long story short, Sarah ends up shooting Dale, taking his life. When Dale passes away, all of the victims that he had taken their life and revived suddenly drop dead of their previous wounds, including Sarah, Josh, and Leslie. The film ends with a close-up of Leslie's child. So Dale had the ability to resurrect, and he was using that to hurt people. I believe that when Abby said, "come back to me," it was the writers referring to this movie in terms of resurrection. I know this is a stretch. It's a stretch. It's even a yoga stretch. When Abby was saying, "come back to me," she wasn't telling Boyd to physically go to her, but this is the writers pointing to this movie in that there's going to be resurrection in the show. And I believe that Boyd is going to be put into a position where he's going to be given the option or learn the ability to be able to resurrect people who have lost their life in the show. That's Abby, Father Katri, Tien Chen Lu. He's going to be able to resurrect them. And I believe in order to resurrect them, he's going to have to sacrifice other people. Like we saw when Jade walked into the cave at the end of season 2, all the children were saying Ankui Ankui. I believe those children, or ghoulish children, were sacrificed to bring other people back or resurrect them. So when Tabitha and Victor's mom were going to save the children, they were going to save the children from being sacrificed in order to resurrect someone else. And I believe that the whole premise of the show is dealing with sacrifice, similar to in the Bible. Trick or treat is kind of laid out where people were putting blood on the door to stop the angel of death from going in the home and taking people's lives. That's kind of what people say Halloween kind of comes from as far as trick or treating, in that you dress up as a character or cosplay to trick death to not take your life. This Come Back to Me film, Abby's cryptic message, and the fact that the creatures are cosplaying, going door to door, and if they don't get a treat, they're quote unquote tricking people and torturing and taking their lives. This is all hinted at and goes into resurrection. So here is one of 3 symbols that we see with Jade. All the symbols are usually in blood, because I believe that this whole thing of possible time travel, resurrecting, it's all dealing with sacrifices. It's all dealing with blood ritual, blood magic, which is supernatural in nature. And that's why the only time we see the symbol is usually in blood or during a ritual like Jade walked into in the cave. So for all we know, Ankui could mean sacrifice. We don't know if the boy in white sacrificed someone off screen, and that's what allowed Tabitha to be able to leave Fromville. I'm willing to believe that the reason why we see this scene before the boy in white pushes Tabitha outside of the lighthouse is because children were already sacrificed in order for Tabitha to be allowed to leave. So Tabitha thought she was going to the lighthouse to quote unquote save the children, when in actuality, you can't save the children, or you can't save someone in order for someone else to leave. What Jade is seeing is something that has already taken place, but I believe the boy in white had already sacrificed someone, and that's how he was able to have Tabitha leave Fromville. So in the movie that's referenced called Come Back to Me, the woman who gave birth, Leslie, that character, the baby did not look like either of the possible fathers because the baby was Dale's. Dale was the one that was going around graping people, taking their lives and resurrecting them. I believe it's going to come out that the same thing happened to Fatima, unfortunately, and some type of entity graped her, took her life, and resurrected her. And now she has this baby inside of her that's more than likely not Ellis's and not anyone else in Colony House. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Thumbs up the video, share your social media, subscribe, click the notification bell. Thanks for watching. Go forth, do great things, and I'm out. Peace.
The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera.